Hi everyone, welcome to Tony Fox Tarot and thanks for joining me. So today we're looking at how many children you're going to have. A definitive answer on the numbers of children between now and the future. And we'll also look at what's going on for you in your world right now. What are your circumstances? How do you feel about having children? Is this something that you're working patiently towards, or is this something that you feel that you want today or tomorrow? Are you in a relationship? And if so, is it supportive to the idea of having kids? Or are you on your own? And what does that mean if you are on your own? Are you going to meet somebody? Are you going to stay alone? Lots to get through. And before we do, if you would like to go down below and hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon while you're there. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. Please like and share this video where you can. And if you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. There's plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is that you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Now, before you on the screen, we have 4 different piles of cards, and the idea is to choose a pile of cards that resonates with you really clearly. Once you've made that choice, that will be your reading. It's perfectly fine to choose more than one pile if it comes through really strongly for you. And just remember, this is a general reading, so take what resonates and leave behind anything that doesn't. We've got pile 1, pile 2, pile 3, and pile 4. Taking a moment to be with the cards, taking in a nice deep breath, following your intuition, your inner voice, the energy of the cards. Which of these piles resonates with you the most clearly? Is it pile 1, pile 2, pile 3, or pile 4? So down below there are 4 different timestamps representing each of these different cards. If you would like to go to the one that you've chosen, I'll see you in a moment. Hi everyone, welcome to card 1. This is your reading and we're looking at how many children you are going to have today. So cards are on the table and let's just jump straight in. And I'm up here at Justice and 3 of Swords. I feel like you've had really bad news. It's an official view, maybe an authoritative position. And my sense is that they're saying that it's not what you want to hear, essentially, okay? It feels very cold, very empty, very hollow news that coincides with a lot of grief and sorrow, from your point of view. I feel that this is like a very, again, a very official, authoritative position. My sense is that this person is, or whoever it is, or whatever it is that you've been told, is giving you cold comfort. It's not an outcome that you want. It's giving you grief because you feel that you can't work with it in a way that gives you what you would hope for. So you feel very let down, very upset about what's going on in a way where there's just no balance. My sense was this was news perhaps from a health point of view with regards to getting pregnant. Because if I look back towards the past, over here to Strength and the Ace of Wands, excuse me, I feel like there's been a lot of effort in terms of trying to get pregnant and trying to get pregnant naturally. Strength is a card of health. It's a very passionate card. There's a lot of feeling that's coming up with Strength in a way that, has an enormous amount of creative force as well. So it's a creative energy. It's a passionate energy that's reflective of sexuality, but also about our feelings of what it is that we want. And with regards to having a child, I feel that, you felt that there's a great opportunity to become pregnant and there's a lot of effort going into that in terms of your relationship. Ace of Wands is a very strong card in terms of sexual energy as well. So I kind of feel that there's been a lot of effort here, a lot of attempts to get pregnant, but that, there's been a great sense that this is, a full potential, that this can happen. But not becoming pregnant and not fulfilling that in a natural way has left you to find out or to figure out what's going on in terms of health. And this is where I feel that justice is more of an interjection by a third party, with a very official view. I mean, justice is all about news. It's about giving, a very just observation or understanding based on facts. So, it's a very clinical card in as much as it looks at what's going on from a very analytical, very clinical point of view. And serves up a very balanced view based on those facts. And of course, the Three of Swords is a card of heartache and sorrow and feeling let down. It's bad news. I feel that you're feeling really devastated, to say the least. There's a sense that of great uncertainty about where this is taking you into the future as far as becoming pregnant. There's a lot of negative focus, perhaps, a sense that your instincts are saying that this is not right. That you feel that what you're fighting for isn't going to happen. That perhaps you're not going to become pregnant. I get a sense that you're feeling very lonely, very isolated, questioning whether you can push on in this direction in terms of having a child, perhaps. The Nine of Wands is a very hard-working card. Again, it's reflective of sexual energy as well. Because it is a pure energy card in terms of output. But it's also a card that stops to reflect on whether something is actually worth pursuing, because the efforts have become very wearing, very I guess very heavy in terms of the fact that you're not getting the desired outcome that you really want based on the energy that you're putting into it. And the Moon is a card of enormous uncertainty. It's a card that really points to our instincts and feel in terms of feeling that something's not right, that we're not on track, perhaps that something is a bit amiss. It's quite a depressive card, and I think perhaps also because you've been putting so much energy into trying to become pregnant, it's kind of left you feeling not only uncertain, but quite low in terms of your energy, from a very emotional and mental point of view, but also spiritually. And so you're questioning whether to give up on this idea of moving forward with the idea of becoming pregnant. So this uncertainty really does prevail in a way where I sense that you're feeling that there's too much to navigate now. It's become very complicated. When you started to try and become pregnant, it was all just very natural. It's like, let's do this in a way that we're just feeling very attracted to each other, but we want to have kids or have a child. Let's make an attempt, and just see how things go. And, there's a great opportunity here, just to do this very naturally. And then, of course, it just hasn't produced the results that you want. So there's been a question about health. And then there's been some sort of news that's come through that's given you a sense that, that this isn't possible. I kind of feel that, that this has put an enormous amount of strain on your relationship. Over here to the Tower and the King of Pentacles. I feel that this has put a lot of pressure on the both of you in a way that really, I kind of feel that it's like almost like everything's coming undone. It's like there's this sense that the idea of having children is obviously something that was really important to you, and I wonder for some of you that whether you're questioning this idea maybe of going for some other way of becoming pregnant, maybe surrogacy or IVF, could be adoption. It's like, this is, I get a sense that you're saying that this is really important to me. I really want to have children, and I'll do whatever I can or whatever it takes to have a child. Whether that means having, IVF, or whether that means, adoption or some other kind of way of doing this. And I feel that there is a big financial question over this, because the King of Pentacles is it points to financial security and resources but it's a really over the top card on that level that it's not that it needs a lot of money or security. It's just that it has a lot. And perhaps this is a situation, to go down some sort of alternative path. It brings into question the resources that it's going to take to make that into a reality, to manifest that. Yeah. Perhaps if that was IVF, that would be a really costly, for an example, that could be a really costly way of pursuing, the idea of having a child. And if you're limited on resources, that's going to be a real issue. And I kind of feel that money has become a big thing between you and your partner, and it's putting a lot of the pressure on the both of you. And I kind of feel that you're upholding this very, idea of having kids, of having a child, and that without having this child, that this is something that you can't sustain. For you feel that there's no foundation within the relationship, perhaps, for some of you. The Tower is a card of decay and, it's just destruction on some levels, but it's probably more about instability at this particular point in time. But it certainly has brought things undone and really forced you to face what's important to you. And you're saying, I don't care how much it takes to make this to happen. I will give it whatever it needs because this is so important to me. And I feel like you're sort of saying, I'm not going to listen to you. I don't care what it is that you have to say because it's just money. It's just security. It shouldn't mean anything. And I feel that the relationship between the both of you has become very tenuous. That you've fallen out and that this issue has become very central to the both of you. And trying to find balance, it's very, very difficult. The two perspectives are not kind of finding resolution because there's a lot of heartache here. There's a lot of strong emotion. I think your pride's been hurt as well in some ways because perhaps your partner's not listening to you in a way where they see the importance of what this means to you. And perhaps you're quite hurt by the fact that they're actually making it material. So kind of like, well, I'm not going to listen to you if that's actually how you're going to be. It's almost like you're scoffing at them. You're not taking them seriously because they're not taking you seriously. And I felt that there was, before we kind of move forward into where this is going with how many children you're going to have, okay, I felt that there was some really important gravity really on the idea of mending what's going on in this relationship. Mending is all about forgiveness and healing arguments. The Four of Swords is about calmness, bringing in a meditative point of view, letting your guard down, not being so defensive, not being so proud about what's going on in terms of, what's important to you. And so in that sense, actually, navigating your way through this very tricky time in the relationship in particular, but also based on the news that you've actually received, to actually just let yourself come back to center, to bring calmness to the situation, okay? There's been a lot of negative energy that has really worked its way through yourself, but also through your relationship. And this really needs to settle down in a way where you can actually see the wood for the trees, because at the moment, everything is I kind of feel like it's quite hostile, very, there's a lot of gravity in terms of what you feel that you might lose if this doesn't actually come through for you, but also for your partner in terms of, their ideas with you on how to resolve this particular situation. So it's very important just to kind of come back to center, bring in some meditation here. Also, let yourself rest. To kind of like just give yourself some space just to be quiet, not to be thinking about what's going on, focus on the relationship. Because what brings you together here is the idea of love. It's not about point scoring, and it's certainly not about, an ultimatum, as to whether you have a child or not. It's really about, what is right for you in terms of the love and the healing that you can give each other so that you can move forward on a foot that really gives you security and stability. So it's re-establishing a foundation that helps you to build on a future, really. And this is where, if you come over here to limitations, inspire, and innovations, this is a card that says, believing your limitations are permanent, like this idea that everything's wrong, that nothing can be fixed unless it's done this particular way. It's also assuming that limitations mean some sort of a failure, that the news that you've actually received is kind of, is sort of, underscoring some idea that this is a final kind of, ultimatum for you to maybe either not have a child or to do it very differently in a way that would actually exhaust resources. I kind of felt also perhaps this is also a card that means settling for less, and the reality is that you're not, because if you actually flip this over, it's time for innovative ways of thinking. Okay, it's time for creative solutions that really arise from limited working materials, whether that's physical or whether that's financial or material. So I kind of feel that at this point in time, the both of you are seeing some self-imposed limitations about where this is all going. And it's based on the fresh news that you've received, which has been very bad news, the rift that's caused in the relationship, the defensiveness that you've both taken in terms of your standpoints of view, your stand or your point of view, the uncertainty that this is actually generated in terms of your future, as far as whether you feel that this is possible. I will say one thing. I feel that you will have a child. My sense is that this is a child that will come into the world for you, and it will actually be manifest out of a very different way of doing things. For me, I felt that this was perhaps an IVF child. If it wasn't an IVF child, that it could be a child through adoption, perhaps surrogacy. For me, I get this sense that there is a seed here. Okay, whether that actually means you or them. I felt the seed to have a child was there, and that it was actually very kind of almost, I'm saying external to you, but it could be also internal within you, but just kind of like there's a process that needs to take place that actually gets you what you want without it being natural. But the King of Pentacles, it's going to cost some money. It will actually cost some resources. It will cost some investment. It does need to be focused on in a way that gives you measure to I guess to figure out how this works into a future plan and how you can work towards this as a goal point. But I didn't feel that it would be, so much that it would actually break the bank or break you. But there is definitely an investment point of view in terms of having this child. And I feel a big part of what that means is to invest on the same page as each other in terms of this relationship. It's about making your minds up and actually deciding that this is actually coming from a heartfelt place, that this is both what you both want after you've healed a very strong rift here. And that moving forward into the future, this is not only a possibility, but also just a manifestation based on some very factual evidence in terms of moving forward and giving this a go in a way where you just make it happen. So look, I hope this reading has made some sense to you. And if it has, please feel free to leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback. Like and share this video where you can. Hit subscribe. Tap on the bell icon, that'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. And if you are interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. There's plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is that you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Thanks very much and take care. Hi everyone, this is card 2, and today we're looking at future children. How many are you going to have? We've got some cards on the table, so let's jump in and have a look and see what's going on for you. Now, up here to the Tower and the Page of Cups, I felt like you had actually had a really difficult upbringing yourself. I think it was quite a rocky experience. I don't think it's been easy for you, actually. I get a sense that you've been very isolated as a child, and I don't feel that people have been there for you in a way that has really given you, I guess, the best start in life. I think it's been quite tough. It's really sensitized you to how you feel about other people, especially with kids. I think you're very good with kids. You've got a very warm, very soft energy. I think you identify really beautifully with children. You can get down on their level. But more importantly, you really understand what kids need so that they can get the best start in life. Maybe in some ways, it's like you're wanting to give a child, what is it you didn't have, perhaps? And if it's not that, you certainly know what children need so that they can actually get off on the right foot and be the best that they possibly can. I think you are a very sensitive person, though. Very intuitive, very instinctual is very strong in this reading. And I think you always try to put the best foot forward with people as well as kids. I don't know that you let other people know how it is that you feel really deep down. I get some compensation going on here in terms of maybe wanting to appear to be something that you're not at times. It's a bit of a cover-up, perhaps. The Page of Cups is definitely a card of children, or a child, so it could be your childhood. It's certainly about having children, but it's also about flirtation and the potential of relationships. I didn't get a sense that you were in a relationship here. I feel that you've been very focused on trying to find somebody, though, and I don't feel that you've had any success in making that happen. I feel like maybe you've seen either one person or a number of people, but it just hasn't gone anywhere. And I think you've really put yourself out there. I think that again, this warmth and vitality really comes through very strongly. I think you are quite easygoing with people, and that you do make an effort socially to try and meet people, whether that's social or whether that's actually about, flirting with somebody to actually have a relation, to sort of encounter a relationship. I think it's both of those things. I kind of feel, though, that perhaps, each time you meet somebody, it just doesn't go anywhere. And it's really rocked your confidence about where everything is going in terms of a future, especially about relationships, because in order to have kids, you need to have that relationship. If I come down here to soulmates, this is very strong. It really anchors the reading. It's probably more about, meeting somebody who is actually right for you than it is about anything else at this particular point. But, in terms of your longer term vision to have kids, this is what's needed so that you can actually fulfill that particular goal. Over to the moon and the Eight of Swords, I think because you've just not found any continuity with somebody that gives you confidence that you can possibly have a relationship, it's really starting to play on your mind in a way where you've gotten very in your head about this experience. I think you feel very uncertain about the future as far as being with somebody, or to find a pathway that kind of leads towards the fulfillment of having a child and being a parent. I also wonder whether there's some issues here that are coming up from your childhood. I'm going to touch on that again. I kind of feel that there's a lack of resolution about maybe your history of childhood, that maybe I get a feeling that you think that there's something wrong with you. That when these, flirtations don't develop, that you're thinking, my God, this is me. Like, what's wrong with me? I'm obviously very loaded with problems. People see. I think you see the worst in yourself, and you think that everybody else sees the same thing. And it kind of just really compounds in a way where you get very heavy within yourself. You kind of cave in on yourself, actually. You get very in your head. I think you're very, very low, very depressed. You get very down energy. I think you're really hard on yourself, actually. I don't think that you can see who it is that you really are at times. And I think that you also feel that you need to be something that you're not. Coming back over to the Tower and the Page of Cups, I think you really, again, I get this idea that you've been very out there, putting yourself out there in a way where it's you, but at the same time, I think it's also just one aspect of what you're trying to be as well. Maybe you're trying to compartmentalize yourself. You're trying to show a side of yourself that you think is what people want to see. Yeah. But yeah, coming back over here to the moon and the Eight of Swords, definitely feeling that, within your mind, that is all very complex. Yeah. The idea of finding somebody, it just seems, too hard for you to navigate. That you're somehow out of control, that you're not in the driving position. And, again, it's a very heady experience where you're not really in your heart. You're not coming from your instincts by this point. I think your instincts lead you to meeting people. But when they start to fail in terms of the connection, when things aren't going according to plan, or just very, very naturally, I think you retreat very quickly into your head, and, it becomes very complicated within yourself. So you turn against yourself. By the sounds of it here, you're actually your own worst enemy. I come down here to the Star and the Knight of Pentacles. I kind of feel like this card reflects very strongly who it is that you are at a core level, and you're a very stable influence, a very secure person in terms of continuity. You know, I think you do know what you want largely, and I don't know that you're in a rush to get it. You know, you are trying and attempting to get it. I don't feel that you have to have this today. I feel that you do have time to work towards these goals. And I think there are some goals for you to achieve, you know, financial stability. I think your routine is very important. So, you know, chipping away at just kind of like, you know, day-to-day life in a way where, you know, you're getting ahead slowly but surely. But the one thing I will say is that I kind of feel that this is also a reflection of you and how you think other people see you at a core level. I think you think that other people think that you're really boring, that you're predictable, that you're not dynamic, that you're not flirtatious, that you're not edgy, that you're not interesting. Yeah, I think you have a very dim view of yourself. I think that you think that other people might even think that you're a bit simple or a little bit just basic. That you don't have some kind of flair. You know, maybe that you don't feel that you look attractive, right? And so then when you do put yourself out there to meet people, you know, you're putting across a part of yourself, but you're also putting a part of yourself across in a way where you think that that's how you should be. So maybe it's a little bit contrived, or maybe you're showing a side of yourself. It's not the full side of yourself. You know, in essence of what I'm saying here is that you're not being your total self. You're just not being natural about who it is that you really are. You know, it's about all parts of the whole. It's not just about one single part. So this thing about validation is really important. If I come over here to external validation, you know, I think this is a card that reflects very strongly on what it is that I've been saying, you know, because it's about worrying about what other people think. Maybe a part of you is also addicted to the need to be praised in some way. You know, this can stem from a lot of different things. You know, social media is a really heavy influence here. You know, maybe putting yourself out there on social media in a way where, you know, you want to be liked. You know, but just putting a part of yourself out there that is, you know, singular as opposed to the whole you. I think it's really important to kind of like isolate this, because it's time to really just to validate yourself and to tune into your own vibe. You know, the thing is that you're a really honest person. You know, and honesty is an anchor that gives you so much more in life than, you know, momentary attractiveness, yeah, or some kind of, you know, I guess contrived idea of what you think it is that people think that, you know, they want to see. It's time to be the real you, because, you know, until you're your real self, you're not going to attract the right types of people. And I feel that largely what's been going on here is that you've been putting yourself out there in a way where you've been meeting people, but you're not meeting the right people because you're not actually being the real you. So it's time to be the real you. Tune out that need for external validation, okay? Time to be just honest. Don't be needy, yeah, on another level. Just be you. Just be the real you. But where is this all going in terms of meeting somebody and having children, and how many children are you going to have? And I feel that this is a really important time for you, because it's a pivotal moment. You know, you're really at a forkroads of having to, you know, basically be yourself so that you can move forward and actually meet the right person. And I feel that the next year is really important. Within 12 to 18 months, I feel that you'll actually meet somebody. This is going to be a fundamental, pivotal relationship in your life that will be the stepping stone towards having children. I feel that you're going to meet somebody who you're going to settle down with. So the next 12 to 18 months is definitely an important time, because I felt once you've met them, that there would be a very strong courtship period that would take a number of months, 5, 6, 7, 8 months, really getting to know each other. And I feel that you're going to be very honest with this person as well. I felt that you would actually tell them exactly what it is that you wanted in terms of wanting to have children. The Empress is a card of fertility. It's a very high-yielding card. You know, it's about motherhood, you know, being a parent, having children. It's coupled with the Seven of Pentacles, which again is, you know, like it's a manifestation card, you know, of producing results. But again, it's a very high-yielding card. So I feel that within 12 to 18 months, you've actually met somebody. you're settling down with this person, and within a 4-year period, you've had a child. Now, I would go on to say, I hope you like having children. I feel that this is actually going to be a large family. I feel 4 children here. And there's scope to have a larger family if you wanted to have more children. I've got the Ace of Cups here and the Empress. Very fertile cards. I feel that getting pregnant or having children is not going to be a problem at all. I think you've got to be careful about what you wish for here, because my sense is that children are going to come to you very easily, and it's just a matter of making your mind up as to how many you actually want. But I felt that it was definitely 4 children, and I felt it was 2 of each sex. Definitely 2 masculine and definitely 2 feminine. But certainly with the potential to have more children if you chose to. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot to cross over in terms of being where you are today to getting to where you want to be tomorrow. This particular layout or this particular reading, it involves the idea of also meeting somebody, just being yourself, establishing a relationship, and then having the children that you really want to have. But certainly 4 children there. I hope this reading has made some sense to you, and if it has, please feel free to leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback. Like and share this video where you can. Hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon, that'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. And if you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. There's plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is that you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Thanks very much and take care. Bye. Hi everyone, welcome to card number 3. This is your reading, and we're looking at how many children you're going to be having today. So before we get straight to the short answer, let's have a look and see what's going on in your world at this point in time. I felt you were definitely in a relationship with somebody. I thought this was a very healthy relationship as well, really balanced. Temperance, 10 of Pentacles. You know, this is indicative of the both of you really coming to grips with what it means to have a family in a very holistic way. I don't think it's just a sort of an innate drive to want to have kids for the sake of having kids. I think there's something a bit more to it. I think you're thinking about each other's families. Maybe there's expectations there from each side. But also, you know, this is about what you want for kids in terms of security and I think passing things down to them in a way where they have a good start in life, but they also have something from you as a legacy when your time has passed. You know, this is a big picture view of kids, grandkids, you know, extended family, friends, support networks, integrating into a wider community. And I think there's a lot of considerations as to not only what does that mean, but where is that going to be? Where's the location? I felt that both of you, perhaps for some of you, had big families that were very weighted in tradition or with very strong values. And, you know, there's a bit of stuff that can come with that in terms of expectation for you to, you know, fill some big boots or big shoes in terms of, you know, how things are supposed to be done according to how they've always been done with your family. There could also be a cross-cultural reference here. You know, maybe the two of you are from very different backgrounds. This could be, you know, like a multicultural integration in terms of, you know, each of you being from very different parts of the world, or, you know, at the very least, maybe from very different areas that do things very differently. So it could be a different part of the country. And I have to also say here, you know, it's important to keep really open-minded because, you know, sometimes, you know, it's not just about blood family. You know, family can also mean the family that you've chosen, you know. So this could be about a family that is of friends and colleagues, a support network that is integrated into your world because you found the people that you love and they mean family to you. I think for you as a person, I get a sense that you're a very sort of open-minded person. I'm over here at the Hangman and the Page of Wands. I feel there's some quite inspiration about you and in the way that you see things. I think, you have a very open-minded view. There's nothing that really phases you. I get a very progressive person coming through here. Somebody who likes to see new things, do new things. I think, you know, what I feel about your personality is that this is somebody who likes to see the world. I feel like you're a traveler. And if you haven't traveled, there's definitely a spark there to want more in life, that you're not settled or happy just with the close parameters of where you are in terms of your experience. You're quite a broad-minded, very open person who I think like sees different things, who likes to see different things, but also sees different things from a very different point of view. And the Hangman really references that in a way where it has a unique perspective. You know, it holds back, digests, and looks at things from a very different angle. So there's a real creative spark there in terms of your character. And the Page of Wands is a very far-reaching card in terms of seizing opportunity and not really seeing any boundaries. You know, it's open to the horizon and really wants to get out into the world and experience things that it's never seen before. What I do feel about these two cards is that there is a sense that you have been held back from something. I feel like you've been held back perhaps from going somewhere to where it is that you've wanted to go to. Could be about travel, but it also could be about going to a place where you want to be, because it does lead into this idea about settling down and having family. Perhaps you want to be nearer to your family or nearer to a support network that actually gives you what you need so that you can make sense of settling down for the long term in terms of having kids. I think also for you, you know, career is a really big spark in your life. You're a very motivated person who wants to experience new things. And, you know, the Page of Wands is a card of career direction, and it's quite thirsty for new experiences in terms of work and career potential. So I don't think you want to necessarily be bound by kids and the family experience. I think that's a big part of what you're looking to have. And you definitely want to put down roots, but you still are your own person and you have a very unique vision about what it is that's possible. So it's about integrating those family elements and having children in a way that's very grounded, but it's also about being your own person and still being able to experience far-reaching ideas that you want to fulfill. Coming down here to the Empress and the Six of Wands, again, this work reference comes up for me. I think things have been really prosperous for you in your work efforts. You've generated a lot of activity. You've had some really successful results. And I think you've captured the attention of the people that you work with. It might even be broader than that. You know, perhaps you've actually captured the attention of a network of workplace activity, you know, or even within the industry that you work in. I feel like you've actually generated a lot of results that have been really high yielding, and I think there's a demand for you in terms of what you're capable of doing. The Empress is a card of maternity and the maternal instincts. It's about motherhood or parenthood. So this you know, very innate, I guess, instinctual urge has kicked in for you in a way where it's like, okay, I really want to have kids, you know, and there's no control over that. Once that is sort of pumping through your blood, it's just a part of who it is that you are, and you can't control that or put it back into a box. So it's kind of out there in a way where it's like, yeah, I really want to do this. And the Six of Wands is a card of success. And I think you're quite driven in that respect, you know. So yes, I want to be a parent or a mother for some of you. I don't want to kind of be gender specific. I like to keep it nice and open. But, you know, traditionally, the Empress is a card of motherhood. So, you know, this idea of having kids is really a big focus for you. The time is right now for you. I think you see the idea of doing this as something that you can successfully achieve. At the same time, you know, the Six of Wands is a card of work, a very professionally focused card in terms of getting successful results. So I feel you're wanting to keep the two of these going at the same time. My sense is that you want to have kids, but you don't want to have to give up your work in order to do that. That you want to maintain being a parent and keeping all of that going, but at the same time keeping work going. I mean, maybe you'll have some time off, but I don't feel like you want to give up your job or let the momentum down in terms of keeping that sort of high-yielding, result-based focus. You know, you really want to keep that going. I wondered, again, I'm coming back up here to the Temperance and the Ten of Pentacles. Again, I feel that there is a lot to balance between the two sides of each other's families. You know, this relationship you have with your partner, again, it feels very balanced. It feels very helpful, very supportive. I think you share an enormous amount. there's a really strong spiritual link here. And I think you can be very practical with each other in a way that gives each other the support to be the best of each other. Yeah, the best you and the best them. I get a sense that you really promote each other in a way where you're looking to achieve the best possible outcomes on any level that you choose to focus on. A very healthy and balanced reciprocal relationship that really has a nice flow, very easygoing. I don't get any friction here. I think there's time and space between the two of you that really allows for process and allows each other to kind of unfold in a way that's very natural. I don't get any pressure coming from either side of you in terms of the relationship. And I think that that's really important, because when I look behind that, the family pressure is much bigger. And I think that although the both of you are perhaps from very stable and very strong backgrounds with very definite values in terms of your family, orientation, your histories, moving forward, the two of you together are actually very progressive people who have kind of integrated those values, those concepts, but kind of also want to do things in a unique way that is definitive of who you both are as a couple as much as you are as individuals. So I think it's kind of almost like a sort of an integration, but also a departure of living a very different life to how it is you've been brought up, how it is that your ancestors or your lineage has kind of taken you to this particular point, if that makes sense. And Between Worlds really describes that, or at least emphasizes that in a way. It's kind of like you're coming from the old, but you're also going into the new world. The old world is still valid and very supportive, but moving forward, there are new ways to see things. There's new, again, this really falls into line with who it is that you are as a person in terms of these far-reaching ideas, this open-mindedness to do things differently, to see different perspectives. Between Worlds really integrates that in a way that says, you know what? We can have the best of both worlds. We can define ourselves by being who it is that we are in terms of our histories, but also being who it is that we are as modern people. So I kind of feel that the two of you have struck a balance in your relationship to integrate all of that in a way that really says, yeah, okay, let's move forward. Let's have kids. And let's bring them up the way we see fit, but also to integrate what it is that we know from our own upbringings and to take the best of that to give them the best possible start in life. I felt that you were going to go back to where it is that you had come from, or back to I felt like you were going back to a location that gave you support, that gave you an anchor, that gave you security in terms of a network of people that were close to you more specifically. It wasn't about winning out from your partner or maybe where your partner wanted to be, but it was more about what you needed to be a parent. Coming over here, back down here to the Empress and the Six of Wands, the Empress is also a card of mothers. So I felt like maybe a mother, your mother or a mother figure was really important to you, that this person was quite instrumental in giving you the support that you needed to keep things going with your work, but also to help you to be a mother, maybe to give you the support that you needed to, take the slack as far as babysitting or helping out around the house, or just giving you some moral support that was nearby in a way that you could kind of touch base and, you were always able to reference to this person in a really practical way, but also in a very emotionally supportive way. I felt that was an important relationship for you because it gave you nurturing, which fed back into your family. The Wheel of Fortune, I feel that this is where things are going. You're kind of phasing into this new part of your life, and it's paired with the Knight of Wands, which is a card of work and work opportunity taking off. I felt that the work that you were doing was very core and definitive of who it is that you were as a person, and that you had an opportunity that would take off, but also that it would take you back to where it was that you had come from, or to a place that was really important to you, where you could lay down roots, lay down foundations that had a very important relationship for you that would give you ongoing support and nurturing for you as much as it was for your family and your children. I felt that you were going to have 2 children, okay? I'm going to put it right out there now. I felt that this was sooner than later. Within the next 2 years, there's 2 children, and they come in very closely from each other. I felt that it was an equal and opposite, that there were 2 different energies. I felt that there was a masculine energy, and I felt that there was a feminine energy. Doesn't mean that it's going to be a boy and a girl, but I definitely get a masculine and a feminine energy. And I felt that that was really important because there was a balance here in terms of these two children. So within 2 years, having your first child, and within a fairly short amount of time after that, sort of 18, maybe to 24 months time after that, there was a second child. Family of 4 between you and your partner and these 2 children. And I felt that these 2 children were very similar to each other. They looked very similar. They had very similar personalities, very similar traits. I think they were also very similar to you and your partner. There's a lot of mirroring going on here in terms of your kids and you and your partner. A lot of integration into this kind of modern approach to life that gets out from maybe some sort of very entrenched, very, I don't want to say heavy values, but outdated is what I'm going to say. I hope this reading has made some sense to you. And if it has, please feel free to leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback. Like and share this video where you can. Hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. If you are interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. There's plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Thanks very much and take care. Hi everyone, welcome to card 4. This is your reading and we're looking at how many children you're going to have today. So we've got some cards on the table. Let's have a look and see what's going on for you first before we hit the short answer. Get a very self-motivated person here. I'm up here at the Magician and the 9 of Chalices. There's something quite self-made about you. And when I say that, I mean, I kind of feel, you've got a really strong anchor in terms of standing your own ground. You do things your own way. And I think you are very motivated to be your own person. There's something very individualistic about you. I feel that children is, it's the idea of kids is definitely square on the table at the moment. And it's like you're prepared to pull out all the stops to make this happen in a way that gets you what you want. I think also you're prepared to kind of pull a few tricks from your sleeve to manifest this in a very unconventional way. I don't feel that you're in a relationship. I don't pick up a relationship here. I pick up somebody who's very independently minded, very self-motivated, a real self-starter. And I think you're quite self-made in as much as there's nothing that really inhibits you to fulfill whatever it is that you actually put your mind to. Quite an animated individual. I think you've got a lot of energy. When you see opportunity, you just go for it. And the idea of having kids is like, okay, if I want to have kids, I'll just have kids. I don't need to have a partner. I don't need to be in a relationship. I don't need to be married to have kids. There's a lot of projection going on around this from a very impulsive place. It's like, yeah, I feel the spark. I want to do this. How do I make it happen? Looking at all sides of the scenario of manifesting that in ways that may be very unconventional. It might be about adoption. It might be about surrogacy. It could be about IVF. It could be, finding a donor, in terms like maybe a friend who could give you what you need to have a child, so that you could kind of bypass all of the red tape to have kids. Coming down here to the Star and 9 of Wands, I did feel that you had been in a relationship, or that you've had previous relationships. I feel that there's a history here, okay? That there's been relationships in the past, or maybe even one more recently, that has just left you feeling really vulnerable. I kind of feel that when you've opened up, this person or this theme that seems to run through of feeling that you're at the mercy of other people in a way that can lead to a lot of hurt. I think you're a really sensitive person at a heart level who takes things on in a way that is very tender, very sensitive, very serious, and you fight for what you believe in as much as, if you're in a relationship with somebody, you want it to be the real deal. And I feel like you've missed the mark on some levels here with the kinds of people that you've actually been in relationships with or have attracted to in terms of the potential of having a relationship with, where it just hasn't turned out very positively. It's left you having to be very guarded about what you want, in terms of that truth, that honesty in a relationship. I feel like you've perhaps you've attracted some aggressive types. Also, the other thing for me is there's an abandonment issue here for me in this reading. I kind of maybe feeling that people have walked down on you, that they're unreliable, that you have to stand your ground in a way where it's like, okay, if you're not going to be honest with me, then you have to leave. I'm not going to consider a relationship that doesn't actually stay on the truth and honesty path. So I think in that respect, you're not prepared to indulge people in a way that doesn't get to the truth, doesn't get to the heart of matters. So there's some self-protection going on there in terms of making sure that you're okay. I wondered also whether there were some questions around your health, around the idea of having kids. So I don't think that it's like a primary issue. Maybe just been worried about it on one level. I didn't feel that there was any issues here around health at all. I want to come up here to the wheel and the Six of Cups, or the Six of Chalices in this particular case with this deck. Looking more to the past. This idea of kids has always been on the spin for you. And you've been thinking about it, I think, like forever. It's always been a consideration. It's like, yeah, when am I going to do that? Am I going to do that? How am I going to do that? I'd really like to do that. There's a lot of risk involved in your mind in the past, I think, leading up to this particular point. I think you've been looking at all the pitfalls of what it means to have children. Perhaps you've questioned whether you have what it takes to be able to be a parent. I'll be honest with you, I feel like you've come from a bit of a shaky background in terms of your own childhood. I didn't feel that people had been there for you in a reliable way. This idea of abandonment comes up for me again. I'm wondering whether people, in terms of your family structure, have been just a little bit flaky. Maybe they actually haven't given you what you needed to get the best start in life. For some of you, this could even be an adoption issue. I did feel that. I felt like there's an adoption thread in this particular reading. I felt perhaps you weren't familiar with your family, whether it's adoption or whether it isn't, it's just that sort of like sense of identity, that sense of linking into my family just doesn't come through strongly here. I feel that there's something behind the scenes that doesn't add up in a way that gives me a solid foundation. There's been a lot of risk associated with my childhood, with my upbringing, with the people that are associated in my life at that particular time. And so I think for you, it's like, like this idea of having kids, it's like, it's very motivated. If we're going to come down here to why, I think this is a really important part of this reading. It's quite beautiful, to be honest with you, because it asks you to sort of, really, really look at what the driving intention is to have kids. Because it needs to be honest. The thing is, you are a really honest person, as I was saying to you before. And I think it needs to be really on track in terms of manifesting this in a way that actually is very truthful. The power of knowing why you're wanting to have kids really helps you to have a look at what the behavioral patterns that have brought you to this particular point. And essentially what it says with this particular card is there a hidden agenda? I don't think that there's a hidden agenda in a nasty way. I think the motivation to have children is wanting to have kids because you want them to bypass maybe some of the suffering or the flakiness that you had when you were a kid. Maybe you're wanting to bring kids up in an idealistic way that just kind of gives them a really sure start, a really rock solid foundation that, negates this sort of kind of risk involved with childhood that's really aligned to your experience. You have to be very careful there because risk is with us every day of our lives. And the reality is that we can't bypass it and we can't protect our children from it because it's a part of life. I think it's important to be very real about what it means to have kids. And being honest with them is first and foremost the best thing that you can actually give them. I think to delude them that there isn't bad things that can happen, that abandonment doesn't happen even, that people can be unreliable, is kind of tricking them out of the reality of what life is really about. And I'm not saying that that's what you are or that's what you would give to them, but I think that it's important that kids get, the full understanding in a way that's digestible for them. So moving forward, this really helps you to kind of bring the idea of a child into manifestation much more quickly. And coming over here to manifesting and doing, it's what it says on the pack, really. It's about making it happen and manifesting something by putting your energy into it. And the reality is that you already are very motivated to do this. You're at that point of saying, I want to have kids. I think for the moment, I think you're thinking, I really want to have more than one. I would have said, 2 or 3 maybe, definitely. Coming over here to the Hermit and the the Page of Pentacles, the Page of Cups, which in this case is the Knave of Chalices. I feel like that you're going to kind of put this into the balance in a way where you just wait it out. I think you're going to wait for the right opportunity to have a child. And in some ways, I think you're also putting it off. It's almost like you're waiting to have a relationship with somebody, waiting maybe to meet the right person who fits in with you in a way that fits into your life, but also fits into the idea of having kids, somebody who you can trust, maybe formulate a relationship with. And for me, it's not to say that you're not going to meet somebody. I think you have to be in the here and now. The sense of wanting to do this is today. It's not yesterday and it's not tomorrow. I think you've been waiting to have children for a really long time. A part of what I feel this is about is accepting your independence. Your independently minded ability to do things when and if you choose to do them in a way that is not conventional, that doesn't fit into some kind of conservative value. I felt that you would actually meet somebody within the next 2 years who would possibly be a donor to give you a child. There was another side of this as well. I also felt that maybe within 2 years, for some of you, the idea of adoption was a very realistic pathway to take place. The Knave of Chalices is a child. So in this particular case, I kind of feel like there is a fully formed child already in the balance in the future for you, okay? And it's just a matter of waiting the right time to actually go down that particular path in a way that actually fulfills that particular experience. And maybe there's a bit to navigate in terms of getting paperwork done, signing up to an agency, or figuring out the groundwork that's required to be able to have a child through adoption. The Knave of Chalices is also can also be a person, like a flirtation, a love interest. And I felt once again that this, for some of you that maybe weren't considering adoption, was about meeting somebody who was very flirty and maybe familiar on one level, but at the same time, there's a distance to this person because it's a page or a knave and it's not a fully formed relationship. So there's a lot of detachment with this particular association. So it's somebody who you find very attractive, somebody who is there in the balance wanting to make a connection with you. But the Hermit is a card of very deep, meaningful reflection, There's an enormous amount of purpose in this card. And in this particular case, the Hermit looks back to the past. And if we look to the past, we're looking at the past of the idea of having children and taking chances or risks to have a kid, okay? And I felt that for some of you that you would actually meet somebody who really fitted the bill in terms of having a child in a very unconventional way that may be associated with some kind of risk in terms of, like maybe you don't know who this person is fully, but, I sense that there is somebody there that you will trust who falls into a framework that gives you a sense of purpose, that links into this idea of having a child through maybe being a donor. I felt that this was going to be one child for you. I thought that there was one child, and this child would actually be very special. I mean, like, all kids are special to all parents, you know, in some way, shape, or form. But I felt that this relationship was a very deep, meaningful, co-aligned relationship that mirrored your experiences in so many ways. It's like this child will be brought up in the light of you, yeah, in your light. I feel that you have so much to impart through your own experiences to this child in a way that will shape and form. And that is the case with most kids, but there's something very spiritual here for me. I just felt that this was a very special relationship, you know, that fulfilled a lot of what you were hoping to achieve in terms of having a child. It's like having this one child is like having every child you could possibly ever have. It's like you don't need to have more than this child. There's something about the experience of this particular parent-child association that just seems to give you all the fulfillment that you possibly need in terms of what you wanted to experience with kids. I think this is a really beautiful reading. I think that there's some very strong features here that point to a quite an enlightened person who is very motivated, very experienced, very spiritual, and very unconventional. I think, you know, you just got to trust that you have what it takes to stand on your own 2 feet to do this. You don't need to have another relationship with somebody. You don't need to be put into a vulnerable position. And I'm not saying that that means that you won't have a relationship in the future. But in terms of having a child and, you know, moving towards future outcomes, you can do this on your own. You can do this independently. I hope this reading has made some sense to you. And if it has, please feel free to leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback. Like and share this video where you can. Hit subscribe. Tap on the bell icon. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. And if you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. There's plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is that you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Thanks very much and take care.